Hi, hello. My name's Jennifer Frost. I am your Crafty Carrot Collective demonstrator here in Australia, and I am about to share with you a beautiful world project. A massive welcome to all of you coming here in our free program who haven't been here before, but also a huge welcome to all of our existing community. We've been running the Crafty Carrot Collective for over 3 years, and it's been an amazing ride, and so many of you have chosen month after month to continue to subscribe with us and stay connected and creative, and it's wonderful. We just love this community that we've built, and we're grateful for all of you who are a part of that. Oh, we've got some people coming on. Hello. I've just realized I've forgotten to double check my Wi-Fi settings, so I hope I don't have any trouble today. Hi. And I need to double check my comments, so I need to jump in and just do a weird little comment. I'll just comment the letter A. So if you see that in there, don't stress. It just means that it will allow me to now see my comments. So if you're there, jump in and say hello. I'd love to hear from you and make sure that's working. Oh, Monica says she's got the right time. Oh, Monica, when I saw your message earlier today, I thought, I don't know how to convert the time and give you the right answer, and I'd feel terrible if I got it wrong. So I'd hoped that letting you know it would be an X amount of hours helped you. So I'm glad that you're here. Hi, Jeanette. Hi, Sue. Hi, guys. So for my video today, I'm going to start by sharing with you a few of the projects that I have created using the Beautiful World stamp set. Then I'm going to lead into my live class tutorial. If you have seen in the actual event that I created here on Facebook, I did provide a supply list, excuse me. So all of that information is written in there. If you want to play along, I would love to see what you've got. If you're catching the replay and you're playing along at home, or you're in colors, it would be fantastic to see what you come up with too. So I'd love to see that. We've been seeing so many great cards and samples popping up in the feeds, and it's been really wonderful to see you all getting value from what we're offering here in the group. At the end, I will do a little wrap up of some of the techniques that I shared. I will invite you to ask questions. As we're going through the video, please do leave questions. I might not catch all of your comments here as I am live. They don't all seem to pop up on the phone as I'm going, but I definitely will get back in and check and respond to any comments after today's class. I'll also share photos after the class within the group so you can see the finished project to refer back to. And I'll also tell you a little bit about our subscriptions that are available at the moment, and a little bit about how I process those subscriptions on behalf of the team, so that you can get some insight into that process as well, and learn a little bit about how you can continue your Crafty Carrot journey with us if you've been enjoying this month, or if you've been enjoying all the months. That'll give you a little bit of insight into that. So I've got 13. I might start. If you've seen some of my videos before, I'm not one to stay and ramble on, I hope, and bore you, especially wary of those people who are catching the replay, and I want them to be able to jump in and get value straight away from what they're watching. So welcome, hello, I'm Jen. The first project I wanted to share with you using this stamp set was the one that I shared in the blog hop. This is a little bit of a sensitive project for me. I chose to use the stamp set for a scrapbook layout. We lost our family pet not long ago, and it was a beautiful way to be able to remember him, to go through the process of finding some photos and making sure we documented that really important part of our lives. And somehow it helps with the hurt to put your feelings down in words and to have that there to refer back to. So I'll flip the screen over and I'll show you some of the things I've been working on. So this one here, as I mentioned, I'm just noticing that the light is really catching that camera. I might have to angle that a little bit differently. So the stamp set for me, when I first looked at it, having just had this experience of losing someone so special, this little sentiment here, life's a beautiful journey, I just couldn't get past that. I chose very subtle colours, and they tied in with these photos. They were taken on his last day, and just that little sentiment that we can be so grateful and happy that he was part of our lives for as long as he was. Then I've just tied in with a little scrapbooking. I've used this paper here. This is a paper I'm using a lot, and I'm a little bit sad. We're going to see it today in our project today, but I'm a little sad that I don't have more of that because it's been really, really good. So I think it's just a different way to look at your sentiments and kind of stretch your stamp set, is finding ways that it works in with photos so that you can scrapbook. How many of you are scrapbookers? Do you enjoy memory keeping? Is that something you do, or are you primarily card makers? For those of you who are primarily card makers, I've been busy playing, and I started playing with this card here. So I've just used lots of texture and stamping. I love this new cinnamon cider color. It's beautiful. And this is a sponging technique, which we will be looking at today. So this is a card that I'm going to share in another blog hop for another group later on, but I wanted to give you that little sneak peek and show you what I've been working on. And I followed Cindy's tutorial. She was live last week and she showed a beautiful ombre effect with some die cuts from this very same set. And I chose to use a different die cut and implement that same idea of that ombre background by creating this card. So I'll share photos of those on my Instagram page and Facebook later, and as well as within this group. So you can find me on the different platforms at Papercraft by Jennifer Frost if you're curious about some of the things that I've done before. So today, this is our project that we'll be working on. So you can see when I started, I quite like being able to stick to colors that seem fitting for a situation. So for me, a globe with those greens and blues, even this one here with the blues, they seem to fit really well. It's in my nature to like things that aren't too abstract. But this one, I wanted to show you something a little bit different, where I've colored the earth here with the browns and yellows and used it in the background. Now, I don't know where you are in the world. Everyone is being affected by COVID and lockdowns and basically it's not a great situation. And what I'm finding is that when all of these worries and changes are happening in my life, it does impact my creativity and what I can give to my card making. But card making is this amazing mental break. I'm very mindful as I'm working through a card project. It kind of shuts down the noise of everything else and all of the other things happening in my brain. And I find that it's a therapeutic process. So what happens is, though, you feel a little bit creatively stunted, I suppose. You need something to get those creative juices flowing, which is why I've been doing a bit of playing. Sometimes I just start playing with different pieces from a set. Other times I enjoy following the Crafty Carrot girls. Are always a source of inspiration for me, and I enjoy following along with their tutorials. I kind of feel like they're a no-brainer way to get creative, and I love that I can put my own slant on what they're showing me. Having their sketches to follow or their techniques to follow is a great way for me to get started with a creation. This particular card, though, I was inspired by the catalogue. So I had to place an order this month, and I'm actually feel a little bit bad that my community, for the first time, I've let you guys down. I don't know if you've noticed, but in our Crafty Carrot Instagram feed, Susan, Cindy, and Krista have all shared their sneak peek projects for our upcoming Christmas card range of classes. And I have not been able to share any of mine because Stampin' Up have not delivered my order. It's been 11 days and I'm still waiting for my order to be delivered. So I might have to give them a call, and I'm just a little nervous. So while I was putting my order together, I was in this embellishment section and this caught my eye. It's this beautiful card. The greens are very much my color. I'm always on the lookout for ways to use colour, and I want to use colour more in my projects. Stampin' Up's fantastic in that all of our embellishments all tie in with each other tone on tone, and what I like to be able to do, sometimes I think you fall into this safety net of using those tone on tone colours and not exploring different ways to bring things together. And this I really loved with that kind of warm reds and the rich yellows, and this green, this brand new Just Jade, is becoming a real favourite of mine. So something about that really called to me, and I sat down and I played and I made a case using a stamp set that is clearly different, but similar shape elements, and finding a way that I could implement that kind of look with the tools and things that I had available to create this one. So that's what we're going to do today. I hope that you guys are using your catalogs to case for inspiration. There's so many beautiful projects in there. I do hope that you'll find value in today's tutorial on how I've taken that and made it so different. And I hope that you enjoy learning this little bit of technique. I've got this colouring on the stamp that we're going to do with sponge daubers. I'm a huge fan of using sponging and applying colour from our ink pads in a way that kind of stretches the purpose of those products as well. Very thrifty, us Crafty Carrot girls. All right, is everyone still there? I'm just checking my comments to make sure I haven't missed anything, but it's been a little bit quiet. If you can give me a thumbs up to let me know you're still there, then we'll be able to get started. I'll grab my cutter. I'm not seeing any comments come through, so I'm just going to double check with my little commenting hack. So if you're catching the replay later, I'll probably go and delete those. But hopefully everyone's still there and following along. All right. So for those of you playing along at home, I'll try not to go too fast. Do let me know if you need me to slow down. If you're catching the replay, you can of course pause at any time. My card base today is this beautiful Just Jade. I was in love with all of the brand new in colors, and this one is a very close favorite to the gorgeous blue that we have. So I'm just cutting that using my trimmer. I do have the old trimmer. The new one is on the wish list, just haven't got around to that yet. And I've cut that A4 sheet in half, and then I'm going to score it here. Still there? All right, there we go. Technical issues. I'm just going to line up the bottom. Jean has popped in and she said she's here. Thank you, Jean. I get a little nervous when it goes very quiet. I can see your numbers and your faces, you're all there, but sometimes my phone doesn't show me all the comments, which is a little frustrating because it means later on I get to the computer and see all these fantastic comments I missed. But that's okay. All right, so I've got my card base. I've just used my nail to score that line, but of course the trusty bone folder is great if you really want to get that nice smooth crease. Now I'm going to add a piece of designer series paper. So this one actually comes from the, I want to say Forever Fern or Forever Greenery designer series papers. So for those of you who follow our classes, we had the very first one for the brand new catalogue was the Forever Fern suite, the Forever Greenery suite. So I have all those pieces here for those of you who have them on hand. This is just a way of us showing you that you can employ other projects and other pieces and other inspiration to pull your designs together. So I'm not being strictly Beautiful World suite orientated. I do have these other things that I'm tying in. But as you could see from the card that I'm casing, it can allow you to think outside the box. I didn't have any dies that I felt would be great for this bit of texture, but the die Cindy featured and worked with could be a great one to use that in your background if you're going cardstock on cardstock. Even our worlds, if you cut this panel down a little bit smaller, those little globes might be a great background touch. So have a play and have some fun and see what it is that works for you. I love this designer series paper. I've got heaps of them. I don't feel like I use them enough. So it's a little bit of a personal challenge, a personal goal to work through designer series paper stashes and try and get them into use and put them on cards so they don't live in my cupboard where no one can enjoy them. Janice is here. She says hello. Hi. I've got a very old sanding block, which I've just used to tidy that up. And then I'm just going to stick that down. I like a little bit of double-sided tape. Some of my friends like glue. We do have some new snail-like tools in the catalogue. So I'd love to know what your favourite way of just putting this paper-to-paper layers down is. I'm just going to stand up. I find that a little bit easier. Is everyone finding that angle okay? I'm a little bit nervous if I go too direct. I'm going to cast that shadow. It's going to make it a bit difficult to see. You could drive to the borders. Oh, it looks like there are a few comments I might be missing. I've just seen a reply that Narelle's given to Tanya. So Sue loves her Tombow. She finds that's the way to go. Susan's a big fan of Tombow too. I did notice Cindy's quite good with her snail-like adhesive. Jean says she can see that angle fine. Excellent. Do let me know, ladies, if it gets a bit much. Normally I go directly over the top, but you can see it's casting shadows, so I'm a bit nervous. I don't want to do that to you, make it too hard to see. All right, so normally when I'm working on a card like this, I reach for Whisper White, but you might have noticed here, I've actually gone for that beautiful textured paper that I showed you in my scrapbook page. So not only have I used it, adding a subtle texture to my scrapbook page here, I've also employed it as the stamping base for this card. That's all single layer, just stamped straight onto that. I loved the texture and the way that that turned out and the interest that that added. So that's why I've gone down that path. You could definitely use your Whisper White if that's what you've got on hand. This piece is from the In Good Taste. I want to say In Good Taste. I'm looking for my... Anyway, I'm sure that's it. It is listed in my supply list. And I've just used a small piece. I'm going to cut that down to size so that we can get stamping. I'm going to go along this side to this edge because I'm noticing, just keeping an eye on where these really darker patches are. And I don't want to pull too much of that through because I'm stamping on. So this side's not going to work for me with those little sandy tears. I'm going to come to this side a little bit more. So the size of this panel is... have a look. Looks like it's 8.5 centimeters. 8.5 by about, let's go 5 inches. 8.5 centimeters by 5 inches. All right, so that's looking just about the right size. And now it's time to do this bumblebee. I'm going to open those up. And we've got our 2 globe images within the stamp set. Now when you're stamping straight onto the paper that you want to be your feature, you need to be a little bit extra careful with how you mount your stamp on the block. I haven't put the stickers on the back, so if I just put that on like that, I'm going to have no idea how that's sitting, and I want it to sit straight so that the world doesn't all look all lopsided. So I'm just going to use my background grid and put that, I'm lining up the top of my block with one of these thicker lines on the grid, and then I'm lining up this center line through the globe with one of the center lines here in the grid, and that way I know that it's roughly going to be straight if I keep that top line straight while I'm stamping. So let's have a little look. I'll move you there. I'm not actually going to ink up directly onto my my stamp, I've got a couple of little sponge daubers here, and I'm going to start with my lightest colour first, which is the yellow. And I'm going to just apply that pretty thickly through where any of the bodies of land are. And I've got my other dauber, which I'm going to put cinnamon cider on. I'm just going to swipe that in where the grid lines are. Now I know there's going to be a little bit of crossover and it's going to hit other points, but I quite like that look. It's going to have that little bit of cinnamon cider coming across the yellows. A little huff and puff. I don't know if anyone ever taught you that. Give it a little huff and puff like you would your glasses when you're going to do a clean. And then stamp it in place. And then we've got that multi-toned globe. I have chosen to put this particular globe down the bottom because I know my label's going to come in here, and I kind of liked that Australia and where I live is going to be showing just there at the bottom. So just position things wherever you like. All right, I'm going to line this one up again, keeping my block straight, putting that line pretty straight through there. And again, I'm going to go yellow where there's land. And then brown everywhere else. If you're worried that you're going to miss a piece of your grid, don't be too concerned because of the way we're stamping. It's collage stamping, so it doesn't matter if it's a little bit rough. Excuse me. All right, huff and puff again. And this time I'm going to go up. Just that little bit higher. Probably a tad higher than I went originally, but you'll see it all come together. No cards are ever the same, even by the same maker. Now, while I've got this open, I'm going to close up the cinnamon cider. I'm finished with that one for now. Just double checking my comments. And I'm going to pull up my little dauber that had my bumblebee. What I'm going to do first, before I start to add some sponging to the card, is just check how much ink I've got. You can always add more, but you can't take it off later once it's on your. I like to err on the side of subtle because I can build up from that, but you can't take it off later if you feel like it's a bit too much. So I'm just filling in that globe with a little bit of a yellow glow. If you want to, you can go heavier through the center. Experiment a little bit with whatever works for you. But I love that beautiful yellow tone. And I think it really helps that to pop so nice. Now to tie in the greens, I've got the Just Jade ink. And I'm loving the little compass. The little compass stamp set there with the directions. Again, if you're wanting to make sure that your north points up or that your bigger points are on in the right way, you need to position your globe on your block before you stamp. So we used to remember the points by saying never eat soggy wheat bix. Does any of my Australian friends do that? Never north, south, east, north, south, east, west. Well, east-west. Never eat soggy wheat bix. So I can see that my W's here. When I stamp it, it's going to be on the other side. So I know that that's the right way. Wheat bix are, for those of you who are international and might not know, they're a breakfast cereal that's quite related with Australia. I'm going to go for a bold one up here, and without even re-inking, I'm going to go for another about here, and I'm not going to re-ink again, and I'm going to go about here. I'm just playing around a little bit, inking them on. And then I have a base. Now, before this gets stuck down, I need the other layers because we've got some ribbon that we're putting in place. I have chosen to use this beautiful ribbon. This one was also in the Forever Scenery suite. It was a combo of ribbon trim. It had this lovely soft ribbon as well as a gold trim. So it's really going to be very versatile because those are gorgeous tones. And now I need to do a little bit of colouring to get it the colour that I like. So I've got a piece of scratch paper here. And I'm going to think about how much I used. I think it's about 30 centimeters of ribbon. And I'm using my stamping blends to colour those. I've got Cajun Craze, light and dark. And I'm going to get the paintbrush end and just run that over the ribbon. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do this. I'm not too worried about coverage because I feel like even if it doesn't come up even, it's a bit like what I was saying before about the stamping on this kind of collage-y feel card. Even if it doesn't come up even, it still has a beautiful effect. I'm going to do the other side as well, just because when I tie the bow, you often see a bit of the back somewhere along the lines, and I want to make sure I have full coverage. This is an alcohol marker, so it should dry almost instantly, but what I found was when I tied the ribbon, there was a little bit of colour transfer onto the tag piece underneath. So now that that's coloured, I'll just set it aside while we work on the tag. So that's a really great thrifty way to use your blend markers and get a little bit of extra value out of something in your collection. I don't know about you, I don't reach for ribbons very often, and it's nice being able to have tools on hand that you can use to customize the color to match whatever project that you're working on. So the other elements that I've got in my collage here, you might have noticed this beautiful leaf. This one is also from the Forever Fern suite that we did recently. I'm just looking for the dies. There are some really beautiful dies in this collection. For this one, I just used this one here. For some reason, it kind of made me feel like there's always that connection between, you know, olive branches and peace on earth. And I know this isn't an olive branch, but it kind of, for me, had that feel. Adding that into that mix seemed like a really good match. So I'm going to get my Big Shot and I'm going to run that through. Anyone else catch Cindy's tutorial last week and feel really, really jealous of her beautiful brand new die stamp and embossing cut from Stampin' Up? It's on my wish list and I'm looking forward to picking one up. But right now, I'll just have to deal with the Big Shot. I'm going to pop that in here. There's just a spare piece of, there we go. Alright, I'm just pulling this through. My plates are quite dated and well loved, so even though I put that through twice, it's still just caught there. My daughter has stuck my scissors together. Isn't she wonderful and helpful? Gotta love having them in your space all day, hey? She's very creative and she loves to use my tools. Not quite sure how she felt scissors stuck shut together would be helpful, but 7-year-old logic, hey? All right, so I've cut that in half, and that way it's going to poke, and I'm actually going to spin that around. So this one had an angle that kind of went down following the lines of my globe here, and this one is kind of coming up. So I feel like that's a good fit for what I'm doing. And they're going to go in there. But before I stick them down, I just want my little tag. So I've got a piece of Sahara sand. Oh, here we go. Just a small piece of Sahara sand. I will cut that down in a minute, but I'm going to stamp first. So the sentiment that I reached for was the "You made the world a better place." Thought that that would be a really nice fit. It's a good size for what I'm achieving here. And it's just a really lovely sentiment. Who doesn't need to hear that right now? I think if someone sent me a card with that kind of sentiment on it, I would immediately feel special. All right, there we go. I'm going to line that up again using my grid behind. I've got cinnamon cider here. It's just a lovely warm brown. And I'm going to really close to the bottom and the side. And then we'll cut that into a tag shape. I'm a huge sucker for tags on cards. And I love that you can kind of make your own tag so easily to any shape that suits your project. So I need to leave enough space on my tag that I've got room for the circle and the little slits. I'm thinking if I look at this one, it'll give me an idea of how big it was. It's a bit challenging to tell with all of my ribbon layers, so I'm going to... I'm looking and I'm thinking it's about 7 centimeters. Let's try that. Oh, I'm like a good centimeter out. Let's go in a little bit more. It's what happens when you try to eyeball it from such a distance. There we go. So, keeping this grid out here, I'm going to use... Not even going to dig around and try and find a ruler. I'm just going to use my scissors. I'm lining them up corner to corner with this square here on the edge. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Just trying to get the little tab corners as even as possible. There's a lot of leeway with this particular card because a giant bow is going to cover that up. So I'm not overly worried. But you couldn't really ask for an easier tag than that. I'm going to mark roughly center for my hole. Actually, before I do that, I know that it's retired, but I love this little tool for this purpose. I'm going to grab a piece of Spare Whisper White. I'm going to just attach it on here. As close to center as I can. Now I'm going to do this. And it all just adds to that luggage tag look. there we go. We've got our little tag. So that is going to sit on here. I'm going to glue those into place once we have an idea of where this tag is going. Every time you recreate a project, it's going to look that little bit different. So it's always a good idea to have a little play. I'm quite happy with that. So I'm going to get my glue. I love my Tombow too, Sue. And this time, I'm going to be careful. So to kind of make sure, I have to lift that and put it in place back where I wanted it to be. I suppose a good way to do that is just use my scissors. That's about where I'm going to want that to go when I'm done. There's no point doing all that wiggling and working out where you want things to be and then not remembering where it was after you've put the glue on. So just little dots on the back there will be enough. And just about there. Again, for the other side, just using my blade as a placeholder. Dot, 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 dots. And about there. Now we can attach our ribbon into place so that we can stick this beautiful tag down. Hopefully the ribbon's had more than enough time to dry. Being alcohol markers, you would expect so. I'm going to thread the ribbon in through the back of the tag. Like so. And I'm going to attach some tape to the back where the tag is going to go. So it's going to go about there. And I've got my tear and tape adhesive, which is a lovely strong adhesive, not like the other double-sided tape I was using before. This one's a little bit more expensive and great for when you're attaching things that are not paper down to card. Just going to close that up on that side, and this one here, wiggle that into place. Just using my grid lines again here. I can see that that's lining this edge of the ribbon up with this thicker line, and I'm going to want to do that on this side as well. I'm just taking the edge of that and putting it here. Actually, I'm very thrifty. I don't want to waste any, and I want to make sure I've got enough for when I tie my bow. So that's the two edges done. And now we need to secure that tag into place, and I'm going to use some dimensionals. Some of the bigger ones today. Just going to want to work around where that ribbon is going to sit. I'm going to pull the backs off that. Pull that around. Making sure I've got a straight edge here. And that is now sticking in place. So before we do the bow, we just have to pop this down. Now in my original sample, I actually used dimensionals to lift that panel up. But what I'm finding is because this paper is a bit thin, it's bowing a little bit. don't know if you can see that it's bowing around there. That bothers me a little bit, so I'm going to stick this panel down flat. And you'll have to let me know if you decide to bring it up on dimensionals or if you decide to stick it flat too. So for today, I'm just going to stick it flat. And that tape's already in place for those. I don't really need to go overkill. Normally I just go over them. I was tossing up as to whether I do dimensionals again. But it really does work better when you've got a thicker card. I'm going quite close to the right edge, but kind of in between, or maybe a little further down. I'll stick that in place. We're going to have to do the bow now, and with luck I've left enough. Drawing them together where the bow's going to sit, so I want the bow base to be here against the luggage tag. So I'm drawing both bits together there, bringing that up in one big loop, and that's where I'm going to cut and then tie my bow. If you're not overly comfortable with bows, give yourself a little bit more than that 30 centimeters, because this is going to be a little tight. And then we're just going to fuss around until we get it. Cute. Love it. I like to put my finger back in the loops to make them just come up and have that bit of life. I'm really happy with how that's come together. It's my little card for you. The last step that I had, I don't know about you, but I've got this giant box of embellishments. I suppose it's a bit like my designer series paper problem. All of these pretty things that never made it onto cards. These are a pearl that were part of the Share What You Love embellishment pack quite some time ago. If you don't have these pearls, don't worry, you can pick up, there's a heap of beautiful embellishments in the catalogue that you can use. And of course, if you've got blends, you can colour pearls, just plain pearls, to any colour that you like. I'm going to use these ones. You use whatever you have on hand in your stash, or don't use them at all. They're completely optional. I just felt like they added something, a little something to the collage that we'd created. That final little touch of texture. Oh, I need another little green one. Where did I go for the other? I'm sure I did more than two. I reckon one's fallen off at some point. It's not like me to do two. I like to work in odd numbers when I'm doing embellishments like this. And I do play around a little bit. I think on this card I need that to go here. I like to do two close together and then a third. In fact, I'm going to end up fussing with this more than I did the ribbon. In fact, I think this one needs to go on this side of the leaf and this one on the other side, which is probably exactly why the original jewel fell off. I play with it so much, it'll lose its stickiness. And then this one here is missing a gem. There would always be three. Do you have any little rules that you work with when you're crafting? Things that you do because it feels right? We had it. And there we have it. It's my little project share with you today. I hope that you've enjoyed. I'm going to turn you around. I'm just going to make sure that I haven't made too much of a mess here behind me. It's my camera. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have Krista coming up next in our Crafty Carrot Co lineup here in the Beautiful World group. You won't want to miss her project. If you have Miss Cindy or Susan's, they have already gone live, and there's a little video tab somewhere here in the menu for Facebook, and you'll be able to find all our videos and tutorials there, and you can come back and refer to them at any time. Much like in our Sailing Home group last year, August last year, which was free, you can still get into Sailing Home and re-watch any of those videos and get those tutorials at any time. So I hope you had fun. If you've got any ideas or suggestions, comments or questions, don't hesitate to leave notes. We absolutely love to hear from you. From a subscription point of view, if you want to continue on with us through September, October, November, they are the last 3 months that we do in the year. We always have December off. So this is your absolute last chance throughout August to pick up a 3-month subscription at that discounted price. When subscriptions are bought and paid for through our Crafty Carrot Co blogspot website, and the links will be shared, I'm pretty sure you can find them here on this page. When you follow those links and you choose a subscription choice, that PayPal transaction comes through via email through to myself. If your name does not match your PayPal name, sometimes people's Facebook handles are a little bit different than their PayPal, please remember to send me an email and let me know what name to look out for so I can match that to your payment and your subscription requests. Once you have made a purchase, you will see an automatic page that comes up, and it will give you the links for the 3-month groups that are coming up, so you can join them straight away. And when we do process your request, often I do it once a week, so if it's sometime through the middle of the week, don't worry, we will see your PayPal payment and we will be able to approve your request at our earliest convenience. If you've got any questions or any concerns about that process, don't hesitate to email us. We're more than happy to hear from you and answer any concerns or inquiries that you might have. We have so we've got our September Christmas collection, which is always a lot of inspiration and a lot of fun, particularly with Christmas being a little bit different for us all with lockdown and COVID and these new rules that we're dealing with now that we've not had to deal with before. So we want to do something a little bit different and find ways to share the holiday spirit even in these exceptional circumstances that we face. So that's September. Then October, we have a kit project. We love choosing a kit from the Occasions catalogue and having a fun play and giving you lots of different alternatives for how to use all of the fun pieces in that kit. And then we're going to have some fun in November. We're going to put all our thoughts about Christmas and COVID and everything that's going on in the world aside, and we're going to have a fun coffee, chocolates and cocktails themed month. So do come and join us and have some fun with us before the year is over. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I look forward to sharing more inspiration with you soon. Have fun playing. Bye.